It takes a congregation. Pope Benedict XVI said, "Through volunteering, we become visible instruments of his love in a world that still profoundly yearns for that love, amid the poverty, loneliness, marginalization, and ignorance that we see all around us. It takes a congregation." Stewardship, generous giving of time, talent, and treasure. As Christian stewards, we receive God's gifts gratefully, cultivate them responsibly, share them lovingly in justice with others, and return them with increase to the Lord. It takes a congregation. Research performed by Dynamic Catholic Institute showed that at a typical Catholic parish, 7% of the registered parishioners provide 80% of the volunteer hours. That's too few parishioners. It takes a congregation. IHM is a very active little parish. Have you ever noticed that you see the same people volunteering all the time? Did it dawn on you that the person you saw lecturing on Saturday was the same one you've seen singing in the choir, decorating the fellowship hall for a holiday event, and pricing items for second chance treasures? Did you notice that the guy working on the door locks was the same one mulching the garden and serving on the finance council? It takes a congregation. Do you ever ask, who does that? Do you ever stop to question who puts the beautiful flowers around the marquee out front? Ever think about who makes sure the microphones are working and that the sanctuary lights are adjusted just right? Have you ever wondered who organizes the fun picnics and meals for holidays? Who makes sure that the lavatories are cleaned and stocked? Who does that? It takes a congregation. We added it up. IHM members involved in just 5 groups donated over 5,300 hours of time to do God's work. And we have over 40 groups. But it's not enough. It takes the whole congregation. Sacristans who take care of the altar linens. Committed individuals who lead faith formation and educational programs for our children. Caring folks who perform acts of charity in the community. Volunteers who staff the church office. Members who lift up prayer in song. Those that lead Bible studies. The many who labor over important fundraisers. Those that pray and perform goodwill together. Those that serve at Mass. It takes a congregation. Love. John 15. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Sacrifice. Romans 12. Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Possessions. Proverbs 3. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over. Ownership. Psalm 24. The earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Relationship. Leviticus 26. I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. It takes a congregation. It takes a congregation. Not just 7% of the members, but 100%. There is something for everyone, and everyone has time and talent to share. With over 40 active commissions and ministries, there is a place and a need for everyone. It's up to you. Serve weekly or monthly, annually or just once. Share your time and talents for an hour or 1,000 hours. It takes a congregation. Stewardship at IHM comes in many forms: liturgy and worship, education and evangelization, parish operations, parish family life, community life. Pick your spot. It takes a congregation. Liturgy and worship requires more than our priest. It takes over a dozen parishioners, but it shouldn't have to be the same dozen all the time. It takes a congregation. Tom Schmidt, who leads our usher ministry that serves weekend and holy day masses, shared, 95% of the time spent is during Mass, so it requires very little extra time. It's a win-win. You provide a valuable service and help your fellow parishioners. I can tell you from personal experience, the smiles and thank you for caring are very special. Greeters, lectors, EMs, altar servers, setup, ushers, sound, scheduling. It takes a congregation. Outside of Mass, it takes a congregation. The vision of education and evangelization is to provide religious and academic programs that allow all parishioners to develop spiritually, emotionally, and socially, so that all are prepared to live and serve in our changing society. Chairperson Pam Craig says about faith formation, there is no greater ministry in our church than to pass on our precious faith to the next generation. Bereavement support, Catholic Climate Covenant, missions and retreats, all these groups work toward the vision, but they don't just happen. It takes a congregation. Perhaps your talents lie in business and operations. IHM needs you. Staffing the office, managing the budget, changing light bulbs, organizing the facility calendar, counting the collection, housekeeping. It takes a congregation. Are you creative? Decorate the Sister Terry Hall for events. Cooking skills? Make a dish for a funeral luncheon, or take your turn hosting hospitality after Mass. Crafty? Knit a shawl for the ill. Medical skills? Join the emergency response team. Green thumb? Help keep the memorial garden beautiful. There is so much need, and you have the time and talent. It takes a congregation. It takes a congregation to serve our community. Feed the hungry. Volunteer at a food pantry or for Meals on Wheels. Donate your goods and your time to the thrift stores. Join St. Vincent de Paul and help raise funds to serve those in need. Visit a shut-in. Do good deeds with the Knights of Columbus. It takes a congregation. Stewardship at IHM. It takes a congregation. Members of our stewardship committee and leaders of some of our groups will be in the narthex after Mass. They will answer any of your questions and provide you a time and talent form. Please sign up today. If you aren't quite ready, take a form home with you and pray about how you can serve. Remember, it takes a congregation. It takes you.